Hey guys, we're here with Feral But Sober episode 13, and I have today Lucky Lewis. He is actually a friend of mine that I knew when I was younger for quite some time, and he is now, obviously he had his struggles with addiction, and is now doing very well for himself. And here he is now.
Hi,
Hey, yeah, was just
can
kind
you
of
hear me?
saying bit about that we knew each other when we were younger, and that your struggles and I had mine, and now you're doing very well, and we've recently um recently got back in contact. And so Lucky's here. Actually, he helped me out. My guest today canceled. I know I say that a lot, guys, but the people that I have on here, some of them are in sober living. A lot of people are. Some of them are in early recovery, and we have a lot going on, and things happen. So I'm always super grateful for the people that step up and help me out when when somebody cancels on me. So this is all very. We literally planned this an hour ago. We had like 5-minute conversation. So bear with us. But we're gonna get it worked out. Lucky has a really good story, so I'm super excited. We've been planning on getting him on the show for a while, and we just haven't scheduled it, or we actually had it scheduled for the 22nd, but I ended up with my issues today. He helped me out. So let me get TikTok. I hate. I am struggling. Like TikTok is weird. They don't let you have like your RTPM code so you can stream with your software until, I don't know, for like 6 months. So I have to figure it out. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay. Okay. And if anybody's watching, drill. Any questions, comments, anything that you got to have to say or you want answered, feel free at any time to comment, and we'll answer it as we go. Okay. If you want to start by just telling, maybe just tell your story. I know that you grew up, kind of had it rough growing up. That's how we knew each other. You guys have heard me say a lot how, how I had it rough, and Lucky actually came to my house as a dispute. So that goes, just a little insight into his life. So he had it worse than me.
So I was born in Georgetown, Ohio. Um, my mom was a partier at the time. She was on her own little journey into addiction. You know, I was born kind of addicted to drugs, uh, and my parents were bouncing around from like place to place. I remember like we didn't stay anywhere too long, um, and I remember by the time I was in like first, second grade, I was eating Jello shots with my mom. I mean, just because like it was Tuesday and she had a good day that day. I mean, she wanted to party with everyone. And like when I got a little older, and me and my stepdad, he was really bad off into meth, and so me and him could never really get along, and so I would say I was probably like 10 or 11, and he's just constantly just beating on me. You know what I mean? Like here he had broke my eye socket, both my collarbones, like um, and I just kind of got tired of it, and I started like fighting back. And by the time I was like 14, well, 13, 14, my mom, she just couldn't handle me anymore because like I wasn't going to let somebody just put their hands on me, you know what I mean, or put their hands on my mom. And like my mom pretty much, like, they were moving out and they were like, you're on your own, like you get to stay in this house, like we don't want you anymore, pretty much. And like stayed in this house for a few weeks with no electric, no water, no nothing. And then I finally, that's like how I ended up at your guys' house. I ended up, they came to put a lock on the door, and pretty much the clothes I had on my back and what I could get in and grab is what I had, you know. And I stayed on your guys' couch. I want to say for 6 months to a year, you know. And at that point, honestly, I was doing all right. Like I was attending school. Your mom was making me do schoolwork and all that. Like it was
Yeah,
crazy. Just actually
yeah.
do
This
okay for a little while.
the rare stories that is gonna make like I struggle a lot with telling my story because a lot of what I have to say sometimes makes my parents look bad. But
Oh,
my
yeah.
yeah, but like so I'm glad that you're on here sharing this story because this does give like a rare insight to the type because this was before they got on drugs really bad. This go
Yeah.
round they went on heroin, super bad and stuff. So
Yeah,
um
I kind of I came like when I came, that's when like I remember everybody started into that stuff. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, the curtain was
and like your dad and your mom was the one that was like, "You're coming to stay with us." That's what they told me. Like they didn't really know who I was, but they knew I was this little kid in the neighborhood that needed help. And
I was gonna
it,
say I didn't even know how my dad met you, like, cause I know, you're even younger than me, and they were like, yeah, I
yeah,
know they were making you go to school, and they were doing like right by you, and I wasn't sure like where you even came from, but that was the type of person
um,
that my dad was, like, my
to be
dad.
honest with you, I was at the neighbor's house, Ernie's, and your dad. I met your dad there.
Oh, at Ernie's.
Yeah, and it was uh your dad and them like when because I asked Ernie to let me stay, and it was kind of like no, I don't really got the room for you,
Ernie
and
already
you're
had a son that was not his biological son that he took care of, already.
yeah, yeah. So
Is that how
I
you knew
kind of
him? You were about
I
to say,
understood the situation, for
right.
sure.
Did you know his son? Is that how you knew Ernie, or how did you know Ernie?
I knew Ernie through Anna and Nathan. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So, Ernie is doing super well. I see him on Facebook sometimes. Shout out to
Yeah,
him.
I see him on there every now and then posting.
Yeah,
I don't never see Anna though, or Nathan, but
I do see Anna. She has some kids. I think we're on the same Facebook. Or she's on my Facebook. But the Ernie, he says things to me sometimes, like that my dad would be proud and stuff like that, and that because he was a good friend of my dad's, and obviously
yeah,
before my dad got really bad in his addiction. So I keep him on my Facebook for those little moments. Sometimes when I need it, he says that. So
yeah, and like it was also like at the time me and Robert was going up there to Denny's house and was working with like for Denny to get packs to get cans of skull and dip and stuff, you know.
yes, yeah, my
Yeah.
Denny and them, they hi Melissa, but they he did, they were great. I loved living next door to them. I hated when they left too, because did they live
Yeah.
next to us the whole time you lived there? I think it was
Yeah, at the end there, like, I don't know what happened. Like, I got accused of like stealing his wallet or something, and like, dude, I didn't steal his wallet. I didn't need to steal his wallet. You know what I mean? I didn't have anything I needed to buy, to be honest with you. I was
yeah,
14 years old, and it was like, what was I going to buy? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Your parents were giving me food and stuff, and it was like, what did I really need?
yeah,
You know?
yeah. It what did his mom accuse you? Is that
Yeah, it was just mom and his sister. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And like to be honest with you, like we all knew it was his sister that took the wallet. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
that yeah, everyone was getting on drugs pretty bad, and it been a few people that were around there, but yeah, I'm sure they knew what happened, but at that time nobody wanted to admit it, and it was very like in denial still, especially my
Yeah.
aunt. She was very much in denial about my one cousin specifically, because she had obligations that anyways. So
Yeah.
so after you left, where did you go after you left our house? I can't really remember because that is kind of
Um,
when everybody
for
got
a
on
while,
back.
I went to juvenile. Because I didn't want to go anywhere. Like I didn't want to. Like my parents. Because like my stepdad showed up in your driveway one day and was trying to make me leave. and like he started like trying to he was basically trying to punch me in your driveway, and your brother and your dad went out there and was like, "You're not going to do that shit in this driveway," and that's basically how they put it to him. And so he left and went to the Feesburg store and called the cops. And then your dad had a warrant. So like we're all hiding in the backyard, and then your dad's like, "Listen, you got to go out there because like the cops ain't leaving until you do." So I went out there, and then they arrested me, took me to juvenile for a while. And then they released me back to my parents, and then I basically like went and stayed with my aunt and uncle for a while, and I was doing good for a while there too, and I started saving money up, and when I realized I had a little bit of money, they were to the point where like they had no water, their electric was about to be turned off, and they were really bad on drugs, and they like made me come back to their house again, and like that's when my drug addiction really kind of got really really bad, because it was like I was going to school and I was hiding like needles and stuff in the the little where like the roof you can kind of push the tiles up, you know what I mean, and you
Yeah.
can like
Like a
hide
drop
stuff up there,
ceiling.
and that's I would yeah, it was a drop ceiling, and I can kind of stand on the toilet and just be tall enough to be able to put stuff up there, you know what I mean, so that way I can go in there at like lunch and stuff. And because if I didn't, like I was sick, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
for a while it was like it was fun, you know what I mean? But it really wasn't like fun because like it was like I was spending everything I had, you know what I mean? And
Yeah, well,
like
as a kid, you have appeal, like, oh, let's, I think some kids think, cool, and that's where the stigma needs to be. Like, even like I promote, like I do sometimes get on here and we tell messy stories, but I always try to stress the fact that that was stupid. Like we may have done it, we can laugh
yeah.
at it now, but it was dumb, it was not cool, and like where we are now and how it's so much better. I always try to make sure we stress that because I don't ever want anyone to think that it's cool because it's not.
No, no, it
You know,
definitely would. That's what I'm saying. At first, I thought it was like the thing to do. You know what I mean? Because that's what I've seen people do my whole life. You know what I mean? And
up to.
like even when I was like a little toddler, I remember running around, picking up needles and picking up aluminum foil and putting it in 2 liter bottles, so that way, like when CPS came to do our home check wherever we was at, like there wouldn't be stuff like that laying around.
As
And
a
so
child,
like
and I
yeah.
I hate that as a toddler that you had to be so so mature that you were aware of the fact that you needed to hide it. Because I'll tell you what, my toddler's sitting here on the floor, right, and no, and I'm not trying to dog your parents because mine were the same way,
Oh no,
but like,
my
you know
parents were not parents. I'm gonna be honest. They should have been a little more of a parent.
if there was a needle or foil on the floor, he wouldn't know what it was, you know what I mean, to
Yeah.
hide it, like to
Yeah.
have the, and he's super smart, but just not, thankfully, and not that way. I had to be super smart in that way as well. I can remember, doing hiding things. CPS coming to the school to ask us questions and having to lie to them about food. A lot of times we didn't eat. And that's why, prior to us living in Feesburg, that was kind of a good time in my family. We all kind of got back together and we're semi doing well. But like, I grew up pretty rough. We grew up, it's kind of the same thing with my parents doing drugs and stuff. So like,
Yeah.
I know how that is, and I hate it, and I love that we're breaking the cycle. I love that your daughter. Let's talk about that. So you now have a daughter, and so okay. So I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So you went back to. I'm sorry. I cut you way off. I'm getting
No,
excited
you're good. You're
at your
good.
story, but I want everybody else to hear it. So after you were hiding needles in the bathroom at school, go ahead and go on from there.
I ended up coming to the point to where like I got sent to the New Opportunities program, and it was basically like I couldn't function as a regular person in school. I was constantly getting in trouble, and like I wasn't attending school. So my probation officer put me in this program to where like I can go to the trade school and learn me a trade. So maybe I would actually, you know, learn something in my life.
Hmm.
And for a while, like I liked it, but it was just like one day there was like just I don't know, this kid was just getting on my nerves, to be honest with you, and I was dope sick. So I stole his little game system that he had that he brought to school, and My probation officer came to the school. They arrested me and all that. And then I went back to juvenile for a while. You know what I mean? And I was getting high in juvenile. And when I got out, I ended up. I started breaking into car washes, and every like pop machine in Brown County, Claremont County, Highland County, Hamilton County, and they got me for a bunch of them. Like I had to go from place to place to place, and basically like own up for all of them, because somebody that was in our little ring of theft people, they told on us. So I ended up getting a bunch of time. And I was only out for a few months for real, and they like basically hung on everything on me, because I was underage, and it was like it was probably the dumbest thing that I'd done, but like it made me for a little while. While I went to juvenile back that time, like I didn't get high that time, like I was for real just kind of attending the school program that they had because I thought, well, maybe I can get my credits, because that's what they kept telling me. Like, if you do this school program in here, you'll still get your credits. And so, like, I was working my butt off because I thought, well, I'm gonna get these credits, I'm gonna get out, I'm gonna still have a diploma. And turns out I didn't get none of the credits that I was getting from when I was in jail,
Why
or
didn't you get
juvenile.
it for him?
Because the juvenile doesn't it's if I would have stayed the whole like longer, I could have got a diploma from the juvenile instead of the actual school. Um,
But the
but I
credits
was
didn't
trying to get
transfer.
a yeah, I was trying to get a diploma from the school though.
Right, like an actual diploma, not a GED type thing.
Yeah, yeah. And so then I ended up going and doing a bunch of homeschooling to make up for a bunch of classes. And I moved to Dayton, Ohio, and I started doing the homeschooling, and I was doing life skills. And life skills is basically it's just another school,
Mm-hmm.
and I was trying to get my diploma there, and I still couldn't get it, and then it came to the point to where like I moved back to Brown County, and my mom died, and like my addiction kicked off again. You know what I mean? Like it was like because like for a while I got clean again, because I kept having this thought like I'm gonna do better, I'm gonna get a diploma, I'm gonna do something, and so when my mom passed away, it was like, as much as I hated her, you know what I mean? Like it was like it hurt,
Sure.
And so then like 9 months later, my dad passed away. And it was it was devastating losing both my parents within a year, you know what I mean? And not having nobody, you know what I mean? Because me and my stepdad didn't get along, like, and pretty much he was just, once my mom passed away, he didn't want nothing to do with me. You know what I mean? He wouldn't talk to me, nothing like that. But he was my stepdad from the time I was 2 years old to the time I was, till my mom passed away when I was just turned 19. Well, I was get ready to turn 19, So um, then like I went to jail again, like after my dad passed away, and I went to jail for theft because like I was homeless and I couldn't feed myself. And to be honest with you, I stole a chocolate milk from United Dairy Farmers, and I stole a box of Nutty Buddies. You know what I mean? Like it was like $2 and something for Nutty Buddies. It was probably $2 and something for the chocolate milk. And but I went to jail, and when I got out, like I met I already knew my baby's mom, but we got back together, and I was getting high when we got together, and she got pregnant with my daughter, and she told me, she was like, um, I mean, she was getting high too, but she told me, like, she was like, if we don't get clean, like, she said, when I have her, like, I'm gonna get clean, and you will never see her. So I started working on getting clean again, and so I got clean, and she had my daughter, and my daughter was born addicted to opiates. um And that was probably the roughest thing that I could have seen. Could have, like it wasn't the worst thing that I experienced, but it was like one of the top things that I could have experienced is watching my child withdraw from opiates at just a couple hours old, and it broke my heart for real. Like so for 13 days she was in the NICU, and when she came home, like I told myself like it didn't matter what it was, like this little girl was my world. Like I didn't have anyone else to connect to me here. You know what I mean? Like, because like to be honest, like at that point it was like if I was to pass away, who would go to my funeral? You know what I mean? That's all I thought would be my daughter. You know what I mean? So I knew that I had to do better for her. So I started trying to. I was working a good job. I was doing good. Like my baby's mom was getting high, and it was like one day I had a bad day, and I couldn't get my Suboxone my Subutex because I was on Subutex, and I I just kind of went a couple weeks without getting it, and I got tired of being sick, and I was like, let's go get high. Like you're already getting high, so like let's just go score some dope. And so that's what we did, and like back to the races. You know what I mean? Like I was getting high. We lost our apartment. We was running from CPS because CPS came because we were homeless. Because I was downtown Cincinnati, and we was in my baby's mom's van, and the van caught fire. And when I went to get out the van, um, the door shut. You know what I mean? And for some reason, like everything locked in the van, so I had to break the side window out. Just I had to keep punching it and punching it and punching it. And I had to pull my daughter out the van as it was on fire. You know what I mean? And she's like 2.5 years old at that point. And I sat on the side of the road after my baby's mom left and like walked off and left us. You know what I mean? Like I sat on the side of the road for a good 2.5 to 3 hours, in the rain with just my jacket and my daughter. Like she's in, because like her shirt and stuff was like soaked. You know what I mean? So I started shredding her clothes, just taking her clothes off because she was cold. And so I wrapped her up in my jacket, like, and held her, and we just sat there for a couple hours trying to wait for somebody to come pick us up. And finally, we ended up walking far enough to where like some guy seen us, and he gave us a ride down Queen City Avenue, and he gave me a ride to Eastgate, and I went to some friends of mine, and lived in Wiener Lane Apartments, and they basically gave me some clothes for London. I got a ride home. Which at the time it wasn't even really home. It was a hotel that had another one of our cars at. You know what I mean? Like we had three cars at the time, and it was all full of crap because we had nowhere to stay. And so I sold one of the cars off so that way we can keep paying our hotel. And then CPS showed up, um, and so they kept harassing us. And me and my baby's mom was just, we weren't getting along. So we like basically we just kind of just did our own thing. We like kind of split up, you know what I mean? And I had to like watch my daughter get taken by CPS, and that was probably one of the hardest, And so at one point, like they put a holder on me, and the like because CPS they wouldn't respond. They wouldn't talk to me because it wasn't on the birth certificate. Nothing. Like it was my daughter and my baby's mom was the only thing that like I couldn't get it put on anything. So finally they put a holder on me, and CPS comes to talk to me at like the Cincinnati jail, and they basically tell me like you told us you're a father, this is your kid, like if you're going to be a father, like what do you want us to do, and so basically they took me to treatment, in Portsmouth, Ohio. I went to the counseling center, and I went there for a little while, and it was a great program. I went through detox and transition, or I went through detox and inpatient. I did 118 days of inpatient because it's only a 90-day program, and usually they like complete you in about 65 to 75 days. But I asked them for extensions because like for as long as I was getting high for almost 10 to 12 years of my life, you know what I mean? Like 90 days, even if it was 70, okay, let's say 75 days. Like 75 days was not enough time for me to get my life together. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? Like I needed more time, like, cause it just, to be honest with you, I wasn't there yet. You know what I mean? Like everybody else might have been, but I wasn't, you
Well,
know?
and here's the thing,
And
like that I'm so glad that you knew that, because when I went to treatment, I did not know any better. But like, people like us that, we spend our entire life doing like you're right, you need more than 75 days to learn how to be a whole person and figure out not only that, but where are you going to go once you learn how to be a person and you learn what you have to do. Now then you figure out how are you going to do it, because then you figure out you have to have a
oh,
job, you have to get a house, and then like it's so overwhelming that alone could drive you back to using if you would have went
oh
back out into
yeah.
the streets before you were ready, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've seen people actually go back out because of that, you know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
from the stress of life, you know? But
It's
the reason I asked them
daughter.
was because, like, when they came to me, like, we're going to complete you in a week. And I'm like, I'm still trying to fight people in the house that I'm living with. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm an angry as, I'll get out. There's no, you're not completing me. I need help, you know? And, I told him I was going to hurt somebody, basically. You know what I mean? And at that point, I might have, or hurt myself, And so I ended up doing 118 days, and they basically told me like, we're completing you. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. We're completing you. Like, and so finally, I ended up like I went ahead and was like, okay, let's do this. So I went to transitional. And to be honest with you, I didn't like their transitional program. I kept talking to them about their transitional program. You know what I mean? Like, because I was having some stress, and I wasn't sleeping, and it was like a week with no sleep, and I kept taking these sleeping meds, and they were just not working. And so they upped my meds, my sleeping meds, right? But they didn't give me the new dose. They just kept trying to give me the other dose. And you were like at that program, you held your own meds, so the new dose was a 200 milligram tablet, and the milligram that I had on me was a 100 milligram tablet. So I took two of them, and it didn't help. So my new dose was take two of the 200 milligram tablets. So I took another two of them, and by that time I got butt naked, chased people around the house, pissed in the floor, like all kinds of stuff. Like it was pretty crazy. They sent me to a higher level of care for a little while. I basically went to a crisis center because they said I was trying to harm myself. But I wasn't trying to harm myself. I was just trying to go to sleep, because it was like a
Right.
week and a half at that point with no sleep. Um, but that night I had the best night of sleep that I ever had in my life.
I bet you did.
But yeah, they I went to a higher level of care. It almost stopped me from being able to get my daughter back, to be honest with you, because of all that. And then I decided, you know what, like this program is not for me. So I went to a different program, and to be honest with you, it was called Step Wellness Center, and it was in Portsmouth, Ohio, as well. And it was a great program. The problem is they kept after being there for a year and a half, they kept promising me that they was going to hire me. You know me after I got my peer support program, like I got a peer support certification, all kinds of stuff. And they never hired me. But I ended up getting a job through Cardinal for a little while, Cardinal Treatment Center, and I decided to go over there and start their transitional program for them. And I went over there and moved into their transitional program, started their transitional program, worked for them as peer support for a while. And then they completed me, and I went and got an apartment with a friend of mine at the time. And him and his girlfriend just kept arguing and fighting, and I'm trying to get my daughter back, and like he's busting windows out of the apartment, he's getting high, and like she's getting high, and they're arguing, and CPS is showing up at my door, and I'm trying to like hide needles in the house while I'm clean, you know what I mean? And it was like, this is too much, so
Mhm.
to be honest with you, I made a horrible mistake at that point. I went and met this girl that I didn't even know. And she was a girl walking the streets, you know what I mean? And I was like, I'll change your life. I was like, I'll get us an apartment. Like, I need you to get clean. I need you to get on subs, something. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be getting high around me. Like, I'm working to get my kid back. I'll help you get your kid back. Whatever you want, just be good to me. And basically, we started getting our kids back. I helped her get full custody of her kids. I got full custody of my kid. And then I had to go turn myself into jail because I had old warrants, and I was trying to get everything taken care of. So when I went to jail, I had to relinquish my license, and that's what they told me. Like, when you come down here, you got to relinquish your license. So I knew it was going to be a while before I got my license back because I hit a cop car is what it was. You know what I mean? Like, I
Oh,
had to pay a
okay.
bunch of restitutions. I had to pay a bunch of stuff, and then I
I
had
was
to
super confused. I was
request.
like, I feel like they screwed you, but yeah, that might make sense if you hit a cop car.
Yeah, yeah, I had a request to get my license back, and I had to go through a program and all that. But so I knew that I wasn't gonna be able to get anything that said if I had a car, it was gonna say that I didn't have license if the cops ran my name, and I had to get to my visits. I had to get to work. I had to get to all my stuff. I had to make it to groups, and so I put my cars in the girl that I was dating's name. You know what I mean? And about a week later, she took off. You know what I mean? She took off with about 6 grand in her banking account. That was mine. She took off with a big old ring on her fingers, 2 brand new cars that I just bought. And she left me, in a house that I was trying to pay and buy, and left me with no food, no nothing. And so I took the money I had left and went and bought me a little beater car and bought me a bunch of food and kept working, and kept saving and kept I had to ask family for a little bit of help at that point, because I didn't know what else to do. And so I was just working my butt off. I was doing solar, and my daughter just kind of kept giving me motivation to keep moving forward, no matter what was going on. Because that's the other thing is I met another girl, that I thought I was in love with, and she got mad at me, and she took because I was doing group those couponing things to where you can get a bunch of laundry soap and stuff super cheap.
Yeah, yeah.
And she took 5 of those big old things of Tide, the liquid Tide, the biggest things of 'em, and poured
Yeah.
them all the way through my house that I was buying. Into my furnace, all over my
Oh,
daughter's
it's crazy.
stuff,
Oh
broke,
my
yeah,
God.
my daughter's bed, all kinds of stuff. It was crazy,
Oh my
and
God.
it's kind of my own fault. It I even after the drugs, chaos was still in my life, and I was allowing it to be. You
Well,
know what I
you
mean?
were looking for something, trying to fill a void, is what I feel. I'm no therapist or
Yeah.
nothing, of course, but
I mean, well, that's what the thing I realized was drugs wasn't the only thing that I was addicted to for the longest time. It was chaos, and it was the fast moving arguing. It was the you know what I mean, the camaraderie. You know what I mean, the back
yeah,
and
yeah,
forth.
yeah, and it because you weren't healed yet in your in your
Yeah,
life, in your mind. So you were looking for that, you enjoyed it on some level, even as much as you hated it. The chaos,
yeah,
is what you fed on. But I'm
and
so
now it's kind of
how did you get out of that situation?
to be honest with you, I moved to Arizona and it isolated me. You know what I mean? Because I don't know nobody here. I didn't.
Mhm.
I moved here and I have an aunt that lives right up the road. You know what I mean? But I don't go there to hang out. I sit at my house and I hang out with my kid. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, how
And
did
I
you
go
get
to
out of
work.
the situation with the crazy girlfriend? Did you break up with her after that
Oh,
instance?
she just when I came home, Sherry poured everything through the house and packed all of her stuff and left. Like she was gone. So I was like,
Why?
thank God.
Was she
I don't.
upset for some?
Well, to be honest with you, her daughter kept spitting in my face, and I told her I was like, if your daughter spits in my face again, I'm smacking her. You know what I mean, she's getting
Oh
spanked.
gosh.
And she said no. You know what I mean? And so I left so we wouldn't argue,
How
and by
old
the
was
time I
the
got back,
child spitting in your
she,
face?
she was like 6.
Oh God, no. Mm-mm. Yeah, no,
Yeah, she
absolutely
might
not.
actually she might have been 7 because she was close to my daughter's age. But it was like my daughter don't spit in my face. This little girl's not about to spit
Yeah,
in my
no,
face.
absolutely
You know?
not.
My son's 3 and he's going through spitting right now, and we are not, absolutely not having that. Like we will
Yeah,
not spit to
yeah. And that
of
was the
all
thing is when I
things.
tried to have a conversation with her, she just kind of I don't know. She was real disrespectful, real argumentative, real aggressive. So before like we got into like an argument, I left. Me and my daughter went somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I kind of was trying to let the situation calm down. And when I came back, it was like everything was destroyed in my house.
Well,
And
better,
then it was like,
probably for the best. That's probably a
yeah,
blessing.
at that point, like a month later, I had a massive heart attack. Like, I think it was like all the stress of like the women that I had in my life, the damage that I caused my body just from like drugs and like not sleeping
Shoot,
sometimes,
I
working
forgot you told me
constantly.
that you are super young for a heart attack. How old are you?
I'm 32.
How old were you at the heart attack though?
I was 31. It
30.
was 4 days before Thanksgiving.
Oh my God! So just like a couple years ago, coming up this month,
Yeah,
right?
it'd be 1 year this
Oh,
month.
one
Yeah.
year. Holy
Yeah.
cow!
And then about 8 weeks ago, no, 6 weeks ago. Yeah, about 6 weeks ago, I had a really bad I had to go in for like 4 surgeries. I apparently when I was younger, I had a torted testicle and I didn't know it, and it was slowly dying. Well,
What
one day I went to like the basically a torted testicle, like it wraps itself around the other testicle. You know what I mean? And it starts cutting blood flow off.
I
And I didn't know it, and so when one day I was out here working out in my backyard, apparently I torted it again, and it was really bad, even worse. So it started cutting circulation off even worse. And I went to the restroom one day because I would like, I've been in pain for a few days at that point, like in my groin area and in my back. And I probably should have went to the hospital. But I was being hard headed. I'm like, I'm okay. It'll get better, being a dude, being a man, and one day I went to the restroom, and I go in there to go pee, and I kind of look down and like as a guy you can kind of see through your nut sack, to be honest with you, and like my nut was black, and I'm like, I gotta go to the hospital, something's wrong. So I go to the hospital, and like, your testicle is dead, and if we don't go in right now for emergency surgery, your other one's gonna die too, and your body's going septic. And so I had to go in for an emergency surgery. And while I was in for surgery, they found a tumor in my groin area that they had to go back in the next day and cut out because I had to get approved for surgery.
oh my God.
And while they was in for that one, I was like, okay, I want a prosthetic. So they had to go in and put a prosthetic in. So and then I came home and um they tried to give me pain medication, and I was hard headed, and I wouldn't take them. I flushed them down the toilet, you know what I mean, because I knew where that would take me in life. And I laid in bed for a few days, and I woke up in the middle of the night one night, and I thought I pissed the bed, and come to find out, like I ripped my stitches, and I was basically bleeding out in my bed.
Oh my God.
And I
That
had
sounds
to wrap a
terribly
towel
rough.
around me. Yeah, I had to wrap a towel around me, and drive my 5 speed car to the hospital as I'm bleeding. You know what I mean? By the time I made it to the hospital, I couldn't hardly walk inside. I pretty much fainted as I walked in the doors. And when I came to, they told me that they had to give me blood and that they had to go back in, restitch all my stuff, and
Oh my
staple it again this time and glue it. And it finally ended up healing up, and I'm fine now. I'm
Thank
back to
God.
work. I'm doing fine. You know what I mean? Like,
So
It's
not
been
only too, I want to
it's
say
been-
this that like you are doing extremely well for yourself. I know you sent me like some
yeah.
pictures, like living a house with a big pool and stuff. Like, did you ever think in your life, like as a child, I know like I don't have a big fancy nice house with a pool, but I never thought I would be as in such a good situation as I am now. Like we own our home and things like that. Like, how does that feel? Because I know like that's probably something you
I
never
mean,
dreamed about, right? Like.
if you would have told me when I was a little kid, or if you even if you would have told me 6 years ago that I would be living like this, I would have laughed at you. You know what I mean? I would have been like, not me.
Right.
Never. You know what I mean? Because for to be honest with you, for the longest time, I thought I was gonna die either in a jail cell or overdose somewhere. You know
Right.
what I mean? Um, and to be honest with you, somehow I broke that. Like I'm not gonna do that. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to get
And
up every day and
take your
chase dope,
kids
and
too.
I get to actually have relationships with people, and I get to have my daughter in my life. You know what I mean? And like that to me, that's the best that I could ever.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? That I could ever have.
So I
And like
know
my daughter goes to one of the top 5 schools in the United States. You know what
in
I
the
mean? Like
country you told me that.
yeah,
Yes. That's amazing.
yeah.
So I wanted to say like when you were I know you went to treatment and you got your daughter back all on your own. Like her mother is not in the was not helpful to you in that situation at all. And kudos to you because I mean you do see more and more men these days stepping up for their children, but it's
Yeah.
still not as not as many as that should. So good for you, and that just really shows that sometimes God does things for a reason. He knows what he's doing. He
Yeah.
put that little girl in your life for how did you end up getting when did you end up I'm sorry when did you end up getting her back? I know we spoke at one point when you were in treatment and you were getting you were in the process of, but then we didn't talk
Um,
about that for quite some time.
about it was about 3 years ago. It was basically I told CPS like they just kept him haul. Sorry, there's a bunch of flies here.
You're fine.
Um, they basically kept him hauling around and telling me like, yeah, we're gonna give you custody, we're gonna give you custody, and they just kept kind of stretching my case out. And I finally told him like, if you don't give me custody back of my kid, if you don't close this case out, like I'm done. You're gonna have to just do it on your own. Like she's gonna stay in foster care.
Were
And that
you
was
getting visits this whole time and stuff like and they were just
yeah,
got
like for almost 2.5, almost 3 years at that point, I was fighting to get my daughter back, and they kept trying to give her to my baby's like my daughter's mom, and she kept like she would go to treatment, and then she would mess up, and then they would take her back to foster care. You know what I mean? And like they would not give her to me because it was just that's how Ohio is. They're a mother state. Like she gets first rights basically. And so finally they decided to give her to me. Like they started stretching my visits out instead of them being like supervised visits. They gave me weekends, or they gave me not super they gave me unsupervised visits, and then they gave me longer visits, and then they gave me weekends, and then they gave me a what they considered extended stay, which was from like December till our court date, which was February 14th, I want to say of 2022. um and then that day they closed my case, granted me full custody, took my daughter's mom's rights, and basically the judge came down and kind of gave me a hug, told me that he's never seen a father go through his program in Brown County and get his kid back in all the years that he was there. And so it was kind of like exciting to him to actually see that.
yeah.
So,
And
and
how
I
did
think
that
he
feel?
said he was a judge for like 15 or 19 years or something at that point. So,
And that had to feel like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you do see men sometimes that, that step up, but it is very, very rare. And especially
yeah.
dragging it out like that when like technically you weren't even on the birth certificate. So like you weren't like liable or obligated. I mean, in your mind
Yeah.
you were because that's your child, but like
Oh
legally,
yeah, that was the other thing is like I added myself to the birth certificate on my own. I went and got a DNA test so they couldn't like try to try to stop me or anything. Like we had to do all that just so that way I could kind of, prove to them like, hey, this is my kid. You know what I mean? Like,
And you did
because
all that on your own.
Brown County was not trying to help me until they knew it was my kid for real.
And you would think that, like, like we're talking about, like, men that don't even step up. If you're standing here saying it's your kid, like, why would they fight you on that? They should just be
Yeah.
happy somebody's trying to step up. But I guess they might be afraid that later, if you found out, that then you would back out. Or I don't know, but I'm
Well,
glad
when my
that. Oh,
daughter was born, I was there, but I didn't have an ID because I lost my wallet. And when I told him my name, there was like, "That's not your name, dude. Like, you don't get to sign this birth certificate. You're lying to us." Like, so I didn't get to sign my name, and like the name Lucky sounds crazy. Like,
yeah.
when I tell people that, they don't think it's my real name, but like, it's my name.
I actually said that
It's
to
my
my
birth
husband
name.
when he was like, who did you get to do it?" And I said, "My friend Lucky." And he said, he was like, "What's his name?" And I was like, "Lucky." I said, "That's his legit name. Like, literally, that is his name." Like,
Yeah.
so
Everybody thinks it's a nickname, and it's not. It's my real
yeah.
name.
But I am super glad that it worked out with your daughter, though. And so now she's been
Yeah.
with you for the past, what was it, 3 or 4 years now.
About 3 or 4 years. Yeah.
And when did you guys move to Arizona? How long have you been out there?
We moved here January 1st, 2025.
Oh, so just this year,
This
just
year. Yeah. Yeah.
like, yeah, 10 months ago. Wow, not even a
Yeah.
full year. That's awesome. Though, I mean,
Yeah.
and you see you're doing super well. Did you move out there for your job, or did you just move out there and happen into your job?
To be honest with you, I moved out here to like be closer to family because I had that really bad heart attack, and like, they kind of told me that there was a chance that I could have more. So I moved out here to be closer to family, and I ended up getting my job while I was out here. Cause like I didn't think that I could be a security guard or to get a guard card, cause like being in trouble so many times. But I worked on getting a bunch of stuff suppressed, so that way it wasn't on my record. And then I worked on getting a guard card, and to be honest with you, they approved me, and I like from there, I just worked on hard on finding a good job.
It's
Like
crazy
making
how
sure.
doors open up for us, like when we're doing good. Like that's another thing that, like, I guarantee if you would have went back and told your younger self, like, that, you're going to be such a successful job, and you're going to be a security guard, like, you would have never believed that. But like when we do good and doors just open up for us, like opportunities that we could have never imagined, and it's
Oh
baffling.
yeah,
I hear about them all the time, more and more now that I'm doing this show and helping people share their stories. Like, it just really is amazing how, how, like, doors just, like, or just for instance, like the other day, I'm going through. I just finished my peer support class on Friday. I'm taking the test on Monday. Then I'm doing the RADPSS to do the drug and alcohol, and then from there I'm
yeah,
going on to do actual CADC to be a counselor. But once I start the RADPSS, I'm going to need a supervisor. Well, I just happened to walk into a treatment center the other day and asked to hang my flyer up for my podcast, just trying to get guests and talk to people and stuff. And I ended up talking to the case manager there, who is getting ready in December. She'll be credentialed high enough to be my supervisor. And so, like, nothing's set in stone, but we're gonna have. But it's just crazy how that just happened. Like, we just walked in, and that door just opened up. Like, how things like that do just happen to us. And
that's pretty awesome.
yeah, yeah. And I don't know. I just, like, when we try to do good things do happen. That's just like, I've
Yeah,
been, when I first started, there was a couple where I would just be like sitting there and couldn't get a ride and stuff, and like someone would pull in and take me, like, that I wouldn't even think, would never even imagine to ask. And I don't, like, things that happen when you really try to do good. But then I had sat
yeah,
there at my dad's house for days trying to get a ride to the city before and couldn't get one, like, because it was
yeah.
not the
I
right thing to
mean,
do.
I've been there too. Listen, so I junked a brand new car that we paid like 16 grand for cash, right? I junked it a year later, for $225 because I was trying to get high. And then the worst part is like I had to beg somebody for a ride, and I couldn't even get a ride to the city that day. I had to wait till the next day to get a ride. So I had to sit there dope sick with the money all night.
Oh my god, that it's crazy. That's what I like. People don't understand, like, too, about when I talk about, like, my my life and using and stuff, I'm like, we live so far from the city that like that was our whole life. Like we got up in the morning and we would
Yeah.
have money, however we had to scrounge up our money, and then you drove an hour to the city, usually sat down there and waited on the dope boy for an hour, then drove back
Oh
home.
yeah, yeah.
Drove
They
to
were never on time. You were
Never. He's
waiting
at the
somewhere
light. He's
forever.
coming. Yeah, he sees you. He's nowhere around. And so
Yeah,
that 4 or 5 hours out of my day is just the trip to get the drugs, not counting the all the morning that I spent scrounging up the money. So like, and then you get hot, you get well what one time, and then you're right back at the same process. Like that's just
yeah.
all
And
good.
that's the
Like
other
I
thing
would
too is like you're getting well trying to make sure you're not getting seen by the cops. Or if you are, you're trying to find a ride that somebody ain't got a warrant. Like the tags doesn't say they got a warrant,
or somebody
and you're
that's
making
not an
sure that
idiot.
yeah,
You know,
and they're not driving stupid because like that's the other thing is I've been arrested just because like I had warrants and somebody was just running over the speed limit, not paying attention.
just acting crazy, or you don't want to ever go down with somebody that had like a nice car, or somebody that like was into their car because then they're hot rodding it and acting
Yeah.
stupid, and I'm like just trying to lay low like with my hoodie on, probably with felony warrants, you know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah, yeah. Try not to go to jail. Like, and if you do go to jail, at least let me make it to the doughboy first.
yeah,
Is what
yeah,
I
like can
thought.
we
You
go to
know?
jail on the way home, like
Yeah.
I literally remember like praying that prayer, like if I'm gonna go to, like, please just let me make it there, like that's so
No,
sad.
the worst part was is riding all the way there and trying not to shit on yourself as you're going there. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like
puke
that was the
up,
worst.
like puking into a
Or try not to puke out the window as you're driving. Oh,
Yeah, because they ain't stopping. I'm telling you, like my dad, they ain't stopping so you can puke. He's like, grab a bag or a cup from the floorboard and puke in that, and
yeah.
we'll throw it out the window.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've been there. Yeah,
Oh my god!
yeah.
I
That
remember
little red Mustang went everywhere.
Yes, my dad had right after that he got that S10 with the cap on the back. Were you there for
Yeah.
that? And they drove in they called it the dope ambulance because they would get into the back of it, like me and my brother, his girlfriend, whoever else, 4 or 5 of us, and we would have to lay down back there while my mom and dad would be in the front, and they would drive us all the way to the city and get well, and we just like we were dumb and thought that was the coolest shit. Like now looking
Be
back, like
laying back there trying not to get back up because you don't want to get seen.
yeah.
That's funny.
They had the windows that open, in between, so like we never had to get out. Like we just lay back there though. It was sucked. It was really stupid and awful, but like you know,
Well, that's the other thing I forgot to put in this story. So when I was 15, I was trying to cook dope in my backyard, like cook meth, and I blew up in a meth lab, and my whole right arm got burnt. And so when you go to the hospital and it's a chemical burn, they want to test the skin on your arm as they peel it off. And so I knew that, and I let a bunch of my friends rub and scrub my arm. You know what I mean, while it was burnt before I went
oh
to the
my
hospital. So there
god,
was no chemical tested. Yeah, it was. I'd made some horrible mistakes while I was getting high, and like I just wish I never would have done that. You know what I mean?
yeah, oh yeah, we have all done things that but it was all learning experience, and it was all our experiences are all valid, and I think it's super important to talk about these things. And thank you so much. We have 2 minutes, but thank you so much for sharing. And I really appreciate your immunity. I love where we own our shit, like where we can laugh and have a good, like, I really appreciate your energy that you brought today, and for sharing
Yeah,
your story, Lucky. Thank you so much. And thanks for helping me out on such a short
no
notice.
problem. No problem.
All right. Well, we're going to jump here. I'll
All right,
talk to
thank
you
you.
later. Bye.
All right.
Maybe we'll get you back on another episode still. I was having, we was flowing good conversation. We have plenty of more episodes anytime you want. You're welcome back. I enjoy
Yeah.
having my kids are running around here like rabid animals. That's what I'm
No, you're
they're
good.
for me. But
Yeah, anytime you want to have me back, just let me know.
yeah, for sure. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Run it. Ooh, I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. Yeah, I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. Yeah, I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my pen ready. Used to hold myself back, my self-esteem been patted. Gotta keep on chugging, ran through everything in front of